Hi there, Stampin' Peace friends. I'm Mary Knabe coming to you live on Thursday, August 22nd from Westerville, Ohio. Welcome to my Stampin' Peace studio. If you missed Tuesday's Facebook Live, you can see it on my YouTube channel, Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe, or you can get the video and all of the supplies and cutting dimensions on my website, stampinpeace.com. But we used on Tuesday the penciled pear stamp set, and I showed you all how to make, oops, I got to scoot over here. See which way I'm going, it's reverse. Sorry. But anyways, the penciled pear stamp set, and I combined that using the watercolor pencils and blender pens. So it's a real easy coloring technique, and the watercolor pens and blender pens, or watercolor pencils and blender pens, are very easy to use and they're very cost efficient. But the technique is so easy and it gives amazing results that will make you feel like a real artist. So you definitely want to check that out on my blog, stampinpeace.com, or my YouTube channel, Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe. Today, I'm going to be using one die cut and one stamp, and I'm going to make 3 cards with that, using that one die cut in a unique way. So let's get started now. I'm going to flip my camera around, and when I do that, would you please share this live video and invite others to join us this afternoon? Okay, quick adjustment of my camera. I was making a pre-recorded video earlier, so have to adjust my camera again after doing that. With this project, this 3 cards, I'll be using the Dearest Friends stamp from Thoughtful Wishes, and I'll be using this one die cut from the Coordinating Die Collection. In addition, I've already pre-embossed these 3 pieces of cardstock with the swirly embossing folder. This is like giant size, super size embossing folder, and I can tell you each of these pieces measures 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I could easily put both of them on here and emboss 2 at the same time. So if you don't have that, it's a really fun embossing folder, and you should check that out because I love it. And the funny thing is, I wasn't going to get that because I don't know, I just didn't see it as being like super special. But after seeing my friend Tracy use it, I was convinced that it would be a good addition to my dies. You know what? We're not even going to do that. We're going to do this part first. I'm going to, and you may have guessed already, my color scheme that I'm using today is Bubble Bath, Fresh Freesia, and Petunia Pop. And these pieces all measure 1 3/4 inch by 3 3/4 inch, 1 3/4 by 3 3/4 inch. And on each of them, I'm going to die cut with this very same Thoughtful Wishes die. And I'm going to give you a tip. When you have something like this to come off your cutting plate, it is very delicate. I'm going to suggest that you never pull this way because it's too easy to tear those fine pieces. But if you go from the other end and gently pull up, they come up without any tearing at all. Now, before I cut the other two, I want to tell you, keep the negative piece. We are going to be using both pieces from each of these colors to make our 3 cards. So I'm going to repeat the process now with my fresh freesia cardstock. Oh, that time the die cut lifted out, but I'm going to do the same thing. It lifted off the cutting plate, but I'm going to do the same thing and just gently pull it apart from the negative from the bottom to the top to avoid any kind of tearing. And that looks good. Again, I want to save that negative piece. And then lastly, I'm die cutting from Petunia Pop cardstock. Many thanks to all of you who are watching. I see people from Washington and Missouri. I see a couple of my Ohio friends. If I didn't shout out your state, go ahead and tell everyone where you're from. I think I saw Pennsylvania in there too. Again, I pulled from the bottom because this die cut is very delicate and I did not want to tear it at all. So I'll get that out of the way. And now we're going to start putting our cards together, and these pieces will go on last. And I'm pretty much going to be making all 3 cards at the same time. So I'm using basic white thick cardstock for my card base. I cut it at 8.5 by 5.5 inches and scored it 4 1/4 on the long side. And then fold it in half. Give that fold a nice crease with your bone folder. The next thing I'm going to do is adhere these pieces of cardstock that I embossed with the swirly embossing folder. I'm looking at this. I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong side. And each of these will be centered on the white card front. Okay, set those aside. The next thing I'm going to do is, let me take a quick look here. I'm going to adhere, oops, where did the other one go? Come on. Okay, I honestly do not know where that other piece went, so I will just, yep, it's not here. I will just cut another piece of the Petunia Pop, and these pieces are 1 7/8 by 3 7/8. Let me grab a piece. I'm sure as soon as I end this live, I'll find that piece. That's how it usually goes, but no worries. I can get this piece cut very quickly. So 1 7/8 by 3 7/8 for those pieces. And then I'm going to mount each of these onto this basic white cardstock. And this measures 2 1/8 by 4 1/8. And I will have all of these dimensions for you when I post this video and photos of the cards to my blog, stampinpeace.com. I'm just gonna center it on the white. I see a bit of gold glitter or shimmer from our project I was doing earlier. Did any of you notice that? Julie, I agree. These 3 colors together are perfect and they are so much fun to use. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flip all of these over. It's very important because we are going to be putting these die cuts into these. So if you perhaps put adhesive on the right side and flip it over, our die cuts will not fit, all right? So here's a quick tip, just flip them all over at the same time. And then I'm just gonna do a little bit of multi-purpose glue in each of the 4 corners on each one of these negative pieces. And again, I call it negative pieces because I did some die cutting and we think of the die cut itself as the positive piece, and normally we would throw this negative piece away. So now I'm going to adhere these to my layers, matching up the colors. So that's Bubble Bath. This is Fresh Freesia. You can use any colors you like. Perhaps you want to use some yellows or oranges or blues. Just do your favorites. You know, I guess I should have put, I should say, a tiny bit of glue on these larger center pieces. Because if you can see, these are popping up just a little bit, but I think in the end, that's not going to matter at all. Again, you're just centering these negative pieces with those layers. Okay. And if it bothers you that those things are sticking up, you can always just go in with your multi-purpose glue and put the teeniest tiny dot on there. I'm not going to worry about it too much because I even think the next step will help those lay down. So now we have our layers with the negative pieces, and I've got my 3 die cuts. Here is where we're going to mix things up a bit. We're going to shift these to the right, and then that end one, the petunia pop, I'll put right here back at the front, okay? So now what I'm going to do is adhere these to the inside of those negative spaces. And I'm just going to dot some of the glue just like that. I would not overdo the glue. You can always lift up a flap or something later and add a little more if you need to, but you really don't need a whole lot. That's why I mainly dotted the glue in those flower areas where the blossoms are. Press it down with a flat hand, give it a few seconds to dry, and you're good. So let's move on to the next one. Same thing, I'm just going to dot some of that multi-purpose glue where those flower blossoms are, maybe a couple of the leaves, stem here a little bit. And add the other color to it. So here is my bubble bath. It does, do you notice that? It works better if you go from the bottom to the top. I didn't do, the first one I went bottom to top, and this one I just started laying down and started gluing wherever my fingers went. It truly works better if you go from bottom to top. And they just kind of fall right into place. And one more. And I'm sure that we have other dies in our Stampin' Up! Collection that this would work with as well. Oh, start at the bottom, Mary. Practice what you preach, right? Remember that glue can be quite messy if you use too much. A dot is a lot, as my friend Jackie, a retired kindergarten teacher, taught her students. A dot is a lot. A little goes a long way. Okay. And you see occasionally, you know, maybe a leaf or something pops up, and that's quite all right. The next thing we're going to do is put dimensionals on the back of each of these and then add them to our card fronts. Does anybody have the swirly embossing folder that I showed earlier? Does anybody have that? I was just curious about the popularity of it. Since it was one of those, oh, I don't need that. And then I decided, oh, yes, I do need that. It's a good thing I'm a demonstrator and getting a discount on my products, right? When I change my mind like that or add something to my wish list. So now I'm going to, okay, several of you do. I'm going to add these to my card fronts, and I'm going to match the layers to the card front. So in other words, the bubble bath layers here, I'll add to the card that has the bubble bath front. Just like that. And then this one will go on the card front that has fresh freesia. Oh, that doesn't look quite straight to me. Let me try again. Okay, that's better. And my last one is the Petunia Pop color. So this is a good opportunity for you to pull some different cardstocks that would be considered in the same color family, like maybe yellows or reds. What else? Purples, oranges, that sort of thing, and combine a set of 3 to make 3 easy cards. Now I do want to add a sentiment to each of them, and I'm using the same sentiment for all 3, I decided. Dearest friend. Dearest friend, that could be used for any and every reason for sending a card, right? And I'm just going to stamp the sentiment in each of the 3 colors I used. So here's, oops, I should have started with lighter. That would have made more sense. But that's okay. I'll just clean my stamp in between. So there's Petunia Pop. Let me grab my little chamois here. I've taken a large chamois and cut it in half. Sometimes it's nice to have a smaller one just to not take up as much space. And you can see my chamois is not that pretty purple that it comes like. So often people say to me, oh no, my chamois is stained. Well, you know what? If your chamois is stained, and look how bad mine is. If it's stained, that tells me you're using it, and that tells me that you're doing lots of stamping and crafting, and that is what we want. If you have a clean chamois, I'm gonna say, uh-oh, shame on you. When are you gonna be back to your crafting? And it works the same regardless, okay? Regardless if it's old and stained or brand new, it works the same. And before I adhere these, I'm going to cut each end at an angle. Many of you have seen my tip for cutting equal angles on your banners. I just cut that, and then I take that piece, flip it around, and put it at the other end, about where I think the other end should be cut. And I've got the top and bottom edges even. Put my blade, my snips blade, my scissors blade right against that. Can you see that? Right against that angled cut cardstock, and cut just like that. It's one of those foolproof. I still have that piece of glitter that I tried to get. Oh, there it goes. It was distracting me because I kept seeing a little shine there. I don't know if you saw it or not. This is a foolproof method for cutting equal angles. Because you know how it is. You cut one angle, right? And then you cut the other one, and you realize, oh, they're not quite the same. So then you start trimming edges just a little bit, and it gets worse. And before you know it, you've cut way too close to your sentiment, and you're feeling frustrated. There should be no stress in crafting, right? Anything we can do to eliminate difficulties is a good thing. And then I'm going to use a couple of dimensionals on the back of each of these and add them to my card front. So this one is the bubble bath. I'm just going to add it right here. This is Petunia Pop. And then the last one would be the Fresh Freesia. Now, I personally don't think these cards need any embellishments, but that is your choice. If you think you need embellishments on yours, by all means add them. But I just think for these cards, there is a lot going on with the swirl background and then the very detailed die cuts. So just my opinion, but if I were choosing some for these cards, I'd probably choose, I'd say the iridescent pearls would be the first thought that comes to mind. Just something very simple and subtle, okay? What do you think? Do you think do you have the, Thoughtful Wishes die set that you could make this? Or do you have another die set that would work perfectly with this? You know what? Here's a die. This would be really cool doing the same technique. In fact, if I was doing this, I don't know which way I'd put it, but I think I would make some vertical cards, and that would be really cool. But I know we have several other die sets that would be perfect for this technique. I don't know what to call the technique, but it is a technique, I suppose. What would you call it? Positive and negative die cutting. I don't know. Anyways, if you would like to have your name put into the drawing to receive one of these cards, I just want to straighten this one a little bit. Please type in the comments now, die cut, die cut, D-I-E-C-U-T, die cut. Kathy, I hope you give these cards a try. While you're doing that, I want to scroll back really quickly here and see if I was thinking a question popped up. Maybe not, but let me check while I'm thinking of it. No, okay, good. Okay, awesome. All right, everybody, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I am basically going to be working a lot this weekend because the Labor Day weekend is coming up, and that will be some family time for me. So I'm trying to work ahead, get some things out of the way and such. And I'm trying to work a couple of months out as well, getting my One Sheet Wonder tutorials together and things like that. So I'll be working, but I will take some time to just enjoy life, maybe go for a walk, that sort of thing. I probably won't see Riley because her other grandparents are coming to town this weekend, and they don't see her as often. So I want to make sure I always give them their special grandparent time with Riley. And of course, she is just so sweet. They just eat her up like I do. I will talk to you soon. I look forward to sharing another Facebook Live demonstration with you on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe. Bye-bye.